Hello once again. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates. Happy New Year 2024. These are the new releases for January 5th, 2024. I gotta get used to saying 2024. Uh, it's an election year, so you know what that means. Bad business for music? I don't know. Every time there's an election year, it always seems like kind of shaky. So, thanks for elections. What I mean, that was sort of random. I want to say thanks to everybody for being supportive. I hope you all had a wonderful, happy holiday season. Ours was successful, so that was good. We had our best Christmas ever, or Christmas season. After 10 years, that's very gratifying. So thank you, and thanks for continuing to support the store, the channel, whatever you're doing. I appreciate spreading the word, and thanks to other YouTubers who've called us out on vinyl community stuff. That's great. I'm really, my my original intention with this whole thing was really just to keep people sort of apprised of what's going on in the store, new release wise, and what we had going on during a pandemic. And while there's still a lot of COVID, RSV, what have you, floating around, that sort of served its purpose. And at this point, I'm like, well, I'm just kind of running on fumes and doing it because I like to do it. So, and I hope that you guys are getting something out of it. One thing I do want to kind of mention as a caveat here is that I'm not really here either shilling our wares, even though I'm sort of am sort of showing what we have, but we don't have everything. I'm also not sort of like pumping up like a bunch of really super expensive box sets and remasters and things like that. Although, I mean, I will show them if I have them, but my goal is not to kind of say like, I mean, yes, it's high quality product, but I realize that not everybody can afford all of that stuff. So, and including me. So you just kind of see what you see, and yeah. So it's sort of like the good sort of stuff for the average consumer, I suppose, average music aficionado, as it were. And thank you also to other YouTubers, Craig's Vinyl Plethora, for calling us out. Me out, Jason, by the way. Yeah, I don't say that very often. I guess I'm sort of private that way, but thank you very much to a fellow Kansan, and well, he might be Missouri, the cool side. And well, I don't know. No, I don't want to start a war. Okay, but thank you very much. Appreciate that. So let's get looking at new releases for the day. January 5th is a sort of a bleak, stark sort of release time of year all the time. The first week or two after Christmas and New Year's, bad. Okay, but I do have a few interesting things for once, and I have to thank a certain couple of labels for keeping things fresh. And so, first thing I'm going to show here, there are two Blue Note Tone Poets. Speaking of expensive record, no, they're not. These are sort of audiophile quality records without paying like break your wallet prices. So first up, we have Lou Donaldson's Midnight Creeper. That's a great cover. Midnight Creeper. This is, of course, the Kevin Gray treatment here. Rudy Van Gelder recording, reissued by Joe Harley. Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. Midnight Creeper. This is, what year is this from? It's hard to say. The print is too small. I can't tell. But this features, well, it's Lou Donaldson, featuring Blue Mitchell, who's awesome, Lonnie Smith, Leo Morris, which I believe became Idris Muhammad, if I'm not mistaken, and George Benson, very early young George Benson playing on this album. Oh, looks very interesting. Early George was great, and yeah, so Lou Donaldson. There you go. Let's see, up second. Oh, where am I going to put these things? I got stuff everywhere. I'm still recovering from Christmas. Elvin Jones. This one looks Very cool. Polycurrents, same sort of Blue Note remastering treatment. I listened to another one or two of these at Christmas time that had been done as a tone poet. Oh my God, they sound incredible. So this one is from, what year was this? I'm so ill prepared with the information these days. 1970. This features George Coleman on tenor sax, Joe Farrell on tenor sax, bass flute, flute, and English horn. Fred Tompkins plays flute on a track, Pepper Adams, baritone sax, Wilbur Little bass, Elvin Jones drums, and Candido Camaro on conga. Candido, I had recently towards the end of last year, someone came in with a whole collection of Candido records. I'd never seen so many before, and we sold quite a few of them. So, but anyway, this looks very cool. Recorded in the cliffs of Englewood, New Jersey. Yeah, so always great liner notes from Tone Poet. All right. So one thing I was saying is like that was Blue Note, Tone Poet, always a great series. Blue Note does a great job. Also, Rhino's been doing a pretty great job. And so there's a whole series of Rhino releases that are in the Start Your Ear Off Right campaign. I think you can see a few of them written over here. But the first one I'm going to mention is probably the most sort of puzzling of the group. It's Melanie Martinez After School EP. This, I believe, had already been released, but this is exclusive Orchid splatter vinyl. And she's one for more of the kids, I guess, but I don't know. I mean, that's crazy picture. But I believe she was like a contestant on The Voice way back or something, and has sort of kind of made her mark in this sort of niche. I don't know what I would consider it, like sort of twee sinister girl music kind of. I don't know. It's always interesting. Her songwriting is interesting. She likes playing sort of a twisted sort of character. The other things that in the Rhino thing this week of note, The Doors, Alive She Cried. And this is interesting because I don't know if I've ever seen this get a reissue before. This is The Doors' iconic second live album from 1983, so it was released quite long after Jim had passed. Reissued for the first time since its original release on vinyl. Limited edition emerald green color. Features Light My Fire, Moonlight Drive, and Love Me Two Times. See what's on the back there. If you want to go look up the track listing and you don't want to try to freeze frame that, I totally understand. There's another one of the Start Your Off Right. Velvet Underground, live at Max's Kansas City. And this features Lou Reed, Doug Yule, Billy Yule, and Sterling Morrison. 2 LP expanded. Legendary live recording from 1970 on Orchid and Magenta vinyl. Features Sweet Jane, Sunday Morning, Pale Blue Eyes, Femme Fatale, and others. This was a double album. So this is sort of Rhino's sort of early year campaign, is sort of filling a void where there really wasn't much going on, and they do the same thing in October with their Rocktober series. Here's a great one that I think is going to do quite well. Is, Yes. This is their early Talk Bubble album, self-titled Yes. The debut album featuring Sweetness. This is pressed on limited edition cobalt blue vinyl. So there's that. And so, sort of the oddity of this, well, as if the Melanie Martinez wasn't, odd, but the Three Amigos soundtrack. Yeah, so you've got Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short here on the cover. First time on vinyl since 1987. Songs by Randy Newman. Score by Elmer Bernstein, and features Blue Shadows on the Trail and The Ballad of the Three Amigos by Randy Newman. There are My Little Buttercup featuring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Fred Asparagus. There's a song with the Chevy Chase guitar solo. Anyway, I mean, it's more of a sort of like a conversation piece, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. You gonna sit down and play your Three Amigos soundtrack tonight? Okay. Um, all right. So another reissue, not of the Start Your F. There's going to be more of those throughout the month, so you'll be seeing me show those again. But a 10th anniversary, if you can believe that, of Paramore's self-titled album featuring "Still Into You" and "Ain't It Fun." It's got an alternate cover. I don't know if the vinyl is anything but black. It doesn't say on the outside, but this is. See, I don't know. Is this might be an extended track listing? It seems to have a lot of tracks there. So anyway, Paramore is about one of the hottest things out there right now, other than Taylor Swift, obviously. There's a couple of these now playing greatest hits that came out this week, and some of them were sort of meh, but I think these couple here might be of interest to some people. Foghat, this is on Honey Hush transparent tan vinyl. Honey Hush transparent vinyl. This features 10 tracks. I see Honey Hush, Slow Ride, Fool for the City, Driving Wheel, I Just Want to Make Love to You, Maybelline. These are sort of like, good introductory type albums. Another one, America, on Sandman transparent green vinyl. And this features Horse with No Name, Sandman, Ventura Highway, Muskrat Love, Tin Man, Sister Golden Hair. Sort of hits all the sort of highlights, I suppose. It doesn't feature things like You Can Do Magic, though. I think those were released on a different label later on, maybe Capitol or something. They might have switched labels. Let's see. One thing that I don't know if I showed this last time or not. Bob James and his album 2, and this is sort of a jazz soul classic. Patty Austin does a vocal solo on I Feel a Song, but it features the iconic Take Me to the Mardi Gras, which was sampled over 400 times by Jay-Z, Run DMC, and more. So I was talking to somebody who was listening to this recently, and he said, "Oh, now I know where all those songs came from." So it's sort of so many. Okay, interesting release. Phil Alvin and the Sun Ra Orchestra, and this is In Sung Stories. Sun Ra's orchestra is a really mind-blowing, expansive type group. This also features the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. He does songs like Someone Stole Gabriel's Horn, Next Week Summertime, Ballad of Smokey Joe, Brother Can You Spare a Dime. This is an older record. Let's see, when did it? I hate it when they don't put the original release dates on here. No, but they'll put a QR code on there. Thank you for reminding me that this came out in 2023, besides the barcode. No sticker, but I want to say it's at least maybe 20 years old. So don't quote me. All right, there was this whole series. I don't know if I mentioned these before. I might have. During this season, I kind of lose track of what I've said and what I haven't. But there was a whole series of Warren Haynes releases that were for his benefit concert that he does every year. This is volume 20, and they came out in 4 volumes. So there's 4 volumes of each one is $30 record. But you get performances by Jim James, Grace Potter, Eric Church, Dave Grohl, Mike Gordon, Government Mule, Warren Haynes. I think maybe I showed the little CD box set that was up here before and not the vinyl, but it does come as a 4 LP broken up set, so knock yourself out. The Wonder Years, I don't know if I showed this either. No Closer to Heaven. It was a reissue of this sort of power pop punk kind of classic, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's what I would consider it on Hopeless Records from 2015. So not that old, but this is Clear with Blue Splatter, if that's of interest to you. Just picking up some pieces here. Jenny Lewis with the Watson Twins, Rabbit Fur Coat. Great album. Got a remaster like the week of Christmas, basically. There's the Watson Twins there, but Jenny Lewis, incredible artist, and featuring Rise Up with Fists, Run Devil Run, Handle with Care. I think a lot of people may have already had this or checked this out if they're into Jenny. But just a reminder for some people. Slow Pulp was another record that sort of maybe slipped by us a little bit and came in late or whatever, but this is on limited edition color vinyl. We've had it already a few times recently and keep selling out of it. So you might want to check out Slow Pulp if you haven't. People say it's sort of like female-led kind of grunge, but sort of not so in-your-face aggressive. I don't know. Maybe a little more like kind of textured. Another one that sort of slipped by, and I'd seen them on CBS Saturday Morning this summer and thought they were great, and the record was sort of expensive, so we didn't bring it in right away, but somebody special ordered one. I was like, I'm going to bring this in and see how it does. Sayshi on this Coal Mine, or Karma Chief Records, division of Coal Mine, with their album Silver. It's kind of a cool cover. This is like funk soul type stuff. 5 stars from The Guardian, boundary busting discodelic soul. So if you think that's your thing, you might want to check out Sayshi. This is a clear vinyl pressing. I believe there are black vinyl out there too. And then sort of other sort of random things that came in. There's a few 7 inches. I maybe showed this, I don't remember. U2's Atomic City. There's one sitting on the shelf behind me too. This is their new single, which apparently is very, very good. I have not heard it yet, actually. But this is on a photoluminescent transparent. So going along with that whole sphere concept of where they've been playing shows. So creative director Gavin Friday. I love Gavin Friday's music. Erstwhile of the Virgin Prunes, and I don't have a lot of Virgin Prunes stuff, but I've loved Gavin's solo work, and his last record, Catholic, was really great. He just actually did an article, maybe it was for The Guardian, I can't remember, where he talked a little bit about his relationship with Sinead O'Connor, and I keep hoping that Gavin will put out another record because it's been over 10 years. And I would love to see that album on vinyl. And if you're into like Brian Ferry and stuff like that, it's like that with a sort of a darker edge. But he seems too busy wrapped up being U2's creative director, which, good for him. He needs some paydays at this point. But I mean, it's not surprising, I suppose. And then a couple other... That was a major tangent, by the way, but I do really want to say I really like Gavin Friday's music. And it was interesting to see his name on the back of this as creative director. Her with the Foo Fighters, you can see that on the shelf behind me too. This is their new single, The Glass. So if you were enjoyed their performance on Saturday Night Live right before Christmas, this was that song, I believe. Foo Fighters with Her. Or Her with Foo Fighters. It's on the back, it lists Foo Fighters, on the front Her, The Glass. And also another person who released a single 7-inch, this is Britney Howard, formerly of Alabama Shakes. It seems like formerly she moved across the country and they don't seem to do anything together anymore, but I don't really know what happened there, and she hasn't really spoken of it. But anyway, it's a new single called What Now? So, what now, Britney? And a CD, The Babies, Live at the Bottom Line, 1979. So if you like your John Waite, you want to hear things like Head First, Give Me Your Love, Money, That's What I Want, Looking for Love, Loaded by The Babies. I did not see a vinyl for this, but maybe there is, and I just missed it. If you're interested, let me know. All right, so I see all of these vinyl tag things going around, and I may be doing that. I may not. It's sort of like I've just not had much time to kind of like focus on that stuff. But I would like to do that. So if you watch that, I'll try and answer those questions. Maybe, I don't know, we're supposed to get some sort of mildish snowstorm over the weekend. It could just be rain. You never know when you're sort of like within an hour of the coast what sort of weather it's actually going to turn out to be. But I did want to sort of give a little bit of a recommends for the week because I do that when I can. I realized that I forgot a couple of weeks again during Christmas because I was just too scattered and needed a little bit of a mental break there. And my mental break was that I forgot to do these. So my first of 2024. I was thinking about this album. I keep seeing pictures of the lead singer around on the internets lately, and she just had a birthday on Christmas Day. She'll be 70 next year, and one of my favorite singers of all time, and really kind of the person that, and one, this is one of the albums that I would consider really changed my way of thinking about music when I was a teenager. And maybe some people will be like, "Oh, that was an interesting thing. I didn't see that coming." But and some others will be like, "I can exactly see where this is coming." So, and that would be Eurythmic's Touch, and this is the second, really the third Eurythmics album, but the second sort of popular mainstream record. And I'm speaking of Annie Lennox, the lead singer, and Dave Stewart, instrumentalist and writer. And well, she plays keyboards and flute too. Went to the Royal Academy of Music and as was or is, I don't know if she's still, but was an accomplished flautist. And they started in a band called the Tourists, and the Tourists had some minor success around the UK, sort of underground in the US, broke up before they really sort of took off. And she and Dave were dating, and then they formed this duo. And their first album, In the Garden, which I didn't hear until after I heard Sweet Dreams, the big sort of debut hit in 1983. That album was much more sort of art rock, a lot of guitar. Connie Plank of Cannes sort of association. They recorded it at his studio in Cologne, Germany, and it just had more of that kind of krautrocky feel to it. And Sweet Dreams, when they recorded that, and that really, at first they started releasing singles from it. I believe Sweet Dreams was like maybe the third single from that album after they tried The Walk and maybe Love is a Stranger too. I can't remember. But Sweet Dreams was a massive worldwide hit all of a sudden in 1983. The video was iconic. If you've never seen it, you need to go see it now. Well, when this video is over. And then they reissued Love is a Stranger, put that out after, and that was sort of a more of a minor hit, but still a hit. And then this album followed really within less than a year. So it was kind of like they were probably working on both of the album's tracks at the same time. But this was sort of like Sweet Dreams, but maybe expanded and a little more variety. While Sweet Dreams did have a little bit of sort of Latin influence here and there, and sort of like a more avant-garde kind of stuff. This one also sort of straddled into like experimental territory, but the Latin sort of effect was amplified on a song like Right by Your Side, which had a very islandy feel, and also sort of like things like Regrets that were sort of like a dark, funky, kind of Grace Jonesy. You can see here Annie sort of kind of channeling that kind of Grace Jones look and feel. Just a white woman from Scotland singing soul music, which, you know, sort of like Grace Jones sort of soul stuff. I don't know if Annie ever really spoke of Grace Jones that much, but I feel like she must have looked up to her for a lot of this kind of imagery that she had. But anyway, this album was also a very big hit. 1980, the end of 83 into 84. The first single, Here Comes the Rain Again, is the first track on this album. One of my favorite songs of theirs ever. It was such an interesting mix of electronic and string sections and Dave Stewart's sort of atmospheric guitar, and her just haunting vocals on that track. And I always liked Eurythmics because I felt like Annie was somebody who chose her words very wisely and had very economic sort of writing styles where she didn't use a ton of words necessarily, but by repetition and sort of like imagery, sort of got the point across, sort of like what Sparks does now, only to much more repetitious effect. That was followed by Regrets, which is kind of a funky, sort of like I said, like a Grace Jonesy song. Right by Your Side was another hit song from this. That's the third track, and that's very Caribbean islandy sounding. It's got a lot of pseudo steel drums. They must be synthesizer generated, but it has a great saxophone solo at the end. Cool Blue is kind of like what it sounds like. It's sort of like an icy electronic type song. My favorite song of the record is the fifth song on side A, which is Who's That Girl? And that was a bigger hit in the UK than it was in the US, but that's a great song. It's very Sweet Dreams like, but a little bit more, I want to say more sensual. And the video was really cool because it featured members of Bananarama and Marilyn, who was a UK singer that was kind of associated with Boy George, but they were sort of at like a club and facing the paparazzi and stuff. But interesting because I believe that was the video in which Dave Stewart met Siobhan Fahey of Bananarama, and eventually they would get married and have children. Now they're divorced after, but they were married for quite a while. Anyway, so that's side A. Side B is a little more abstract. The first cut is kind of like a driving sort of weird funky song. Aqua is like super atmospheric, strange, soulful, but very strange. No Fear, No Hate, No Pain, No Broken Hearts is again one of my favorite songs on this record. Has a lot of like synth and interesting like vocal manipulation. And then the last track, Paint a Rumor, is like far east middle. It's a sort of Arabian sounding psychedelia with kind of the sounds of these weird tape machines being run backwards through some kind of synthesizer that's like going insane, and her kind of very placid vocals with these kind of chants in the background. It's such a psychedelic synthesizer album, but very soulful. I loved her singing style. She had, Dave used to say it was very easy playing music with someone like this, who was one of the greatest singers of her generation. And, if you listen to songs from other albums, like There Must Be an Angel, or Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves from the following record, Be Yourself Tonight. And then on from that, she just really was a special talent, is a special talent. She's still with us. But, at the time, it sort of really it was, you could say in the previous generation how a lot of people were maybe introduced to soul music or generations through like Aretha or Sam Cooke or people like that. And this was kind of one of my real introductions to soul music, and also because I was drawn to like synthesizer music because I played a keyboard and not a guitar, and so it's a little different for kids who grew up taking piano lessons and stuff like that. So anyway, and I respected their musicality, and she really was a cut above a lot of what was out there. You go back and listen to a lot of records from the 80s, and some of them sound endearing or cute, slightly cheap maybe, depending on what the synth effects are. But because they were so unique and kind of came up with their own sort of sonic universe, those are very unique albums, Sweet Dreams and Touch. I'm picking Touch just because Sweet Dreams is the obvious choice. I think everybody else would, most people would probably pick that, but this is like the album that really solidified my love for Eurythmics and Annie Lennox as a real like that's the ticket. So, and they did so much great work throughout the 80s. I think in a way sort of mimicking kind of what David Bowie did in the 70s, which is being chameleonic, no matter what style. If they were doing rock on a song like Would I Lie to You, or doing pop on a song like There Must Be an Angel, or doing like kind of weird synth, like a song like Beethoven. I mean, that was like from Savage, a little later album. Most artists would not choose a song like that as the first, like the lead single from a record. It's just so, maybe they meant it as a taster of sorts at the time, but as a very wild kind of spoken word single. So, and then of course she went on to have a pretty great solo career. Slowed down a little more in the more recent years, but anyway. All right, that was like almost a 10-minute review of that album. One of my longer reviews, but I feel like super passionate about that, and I had a lot to say. So thank you very much, Annie, for the music. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful new year. I sort of had mentioned a bunch of new releases coming in the last week, and so there will be more. I think next week is rather light. There are a few things, and then around the 19th, things really start ramping up, and so we'll have a lot more to show. And yeah, so have a great January. If you're facing a snowstorm, hunker down, and many of you are not, so enjoy wherever you are, and be safe, and happy healthy 24 to you. All right, take care. Thanks for watching. Peace.